When the next FIFA World Cup kicks off, billions of people across the planet will tune in simultaneously, speaking the exact same language. But the impulse to kick a ball is an ancient one. Over 2,000 years ago, during China's Han Dynasty, soldiers played cuju, kicking a hair-stuffed leather ball through a small cane hoop. Fast forward to medieval Europe, and that same impulse looked like a lawless mob brawl. Entire rival villages would clash in open fields, with virtually no limits on player numbers or physical force. By the 1800s, this created a serious logistical problem. You couldn't hold an international tournament because neighboring towns couldn't even agree on the size of the ball, the length of the match, or how many injuries were acceptable. To turn this chaotic local pastime into a global spectacle, someone had to tame the violence with a strict, unified code. That finally happened in 1863, when the English Football Association formally codified the madness into what they called association football. They rule a critical boundary stopping players from hanging around the opponent's goal. The mechanics: an attacker cannot be closer to the goal line than the ball and second-to-last defender when a pass is played. Eventually, even the physical ball itself was stripped of its chaotic regional variations and standardized in size, weight, and material. By defining these strict mathematical parameters, the FA turned a brutal exercise in physical force into a calculated game of spatial geometry. These new rules faced their ultimate global stress test in 1930, when FIFA launched the inaugural World Cup in Uruguay. It was a strange experimental era. There were no qualifying rounds. Teams were invited by mail, and extreme geopolitical tensions simmered between the two finalists, Uruguay and Argentina. That tension boiled over before kickoff, when the two nations literally refused to agree on which physical leather ball to use for the match. FIFA had to broker a bizarre compromise on the spot. Argentina was allowed to use their preferred ball for the first half, and Uruguay swapped in their own ball for the second. The 1930 final proved that while the rules were formalized on paper, the humans actually playing the sport were still driven by deep tribal emotion. Today, the sheer force defending of the early 20th century has been replaced by surgical precision and hyper-disciplined refereeing. Consider Bayern Munich's Philipp Lahm. Playing as a right back, a position defined by tackling and defending, he once went an entire calendar year without committing a single foul. And because the rules are so rigid, they create a static baseline that makes statistical outliers possible. In 2001, Australia set an international record by defeating American Samoa 31-0 in a World Cup qualifier. 5 years later, the Swiss national team achieved a different kind of outlier, becoming the only team ever eliminated from a World Cup despite never conceding a single goal. This controlled environment also allows for historical anomalies like Dundee United, an obscure Scottish club that holds a perfect 100% win record against global giants Barcelona across 4 historical matches. The strict rigidity of these laws provides the sterile environment necessary for these results to be historic. Without a fixed code, a 31-0 scoreline is just a lopsided brawl. Under FIFA laws, it is a permanent, quantified record. Because the core rules are universally understood, nations have spent decades building distinct tactical philosophies, like the fluid space management of Johan Cruyff's Dutch total football. It has allowed international dynasties to measure themselves against history, cementing legacies like Brazil's unrivaled 5 World Cup victories. This standardized stage allowed for individual careers that seem statistically impossible. Pelé remains the only player to lift 3 World Cup trophies, scoring over 1,000 goals, across a career that turned the sport into a global export. Diego Maradona polarized the planet in the 1986 tournament, alternating between the illicit cunning of the hand of God and the undeniable genius of the goal of the century. Lionel Messi leveraged this global system to break nearly every individual scoring record, including the most goals ever recorded in a single calendar year. By combining elite playmaking with a career-long average of nearly a goal per game, he blurred the line between a traditional midfielder and a pure striker. While his rival, Cristiano Ronaldo, relied on relentless output to become the all-time top scorer in official football history. When billions tune in to the next World Cup, they witness the culmination of this centuries-long evolution. The 90-minute match is a polished global heritage, the final result of taming a violent mob into the world's most precise spectacle.